Hello everyone, Warangel here, and welcome back to the jungle adventures of Clan Pestilens. Now, last episode saw us bring war to the capital of the Zanaz-Bokial, the dwarves of the Spine of Sotek, where not only did we take their minor settlement with their gold mine down here at the Thrice-Cursed Peak, but we actually took their capital here then at the Mine of the Bearded Skulls. However, we'll not be able to continue our war with them for the moment, because, as you remember, we had the Order of Loremasters, led by Teclis himself, declare war on us and appear near Zottel. Now, I'm a little bit concerned because a full stack of High Elves, led by Teclis, is going to be a tough challenge, especially since, as you can see, he's level 17, got all of his magical items, and he's going to have such cool units as the Swordmasters of Hoeth. So, rather than go after the dwarves, we're going to have to take a slight break and go after some pointy ears instead. So, let's grab Skrolk and start making our way up there. Now I wonder, what's going to be faster? Using the underway, which would get us to here, or taking Force March? Force March will actually get us a little bit quickly, but on the other hand, we gain bonuses if we do this. In terms of, like, we'll be able to actually not have to worry about vigor reduction and stuff like that. Cool, we're going to go for that. There we go. Right, so you've now moved. Fantastic. Cyprus. In fact, I'm planning to get rid of Cyprus soon. We need a second army, and I've already got a leader in mind, which unfortunately is not going to be Cyprus. But I think, yeah, we're now at level 3 with the Altar of the Horned Rat, so we should be able to build defenses if we got the tokens, which we do. It's only going to take 2 turns, and that's going to give us a bunch of troops for the garrison. So if we go for covert choke points, I'm going to let them have 2 turns before we start a new army, and I think next turn I'll demolish or... In fact, why don't we just get rid of them now? Because now we're going to have those defenses, and we're not at war with anyone nearby. I think we'll be okay to do this. So let's disband these guys, and disband you as well. So that's actually helped our income quite a bit. The supply lines in this campaign, or this game, can really be devastating sometimes. But we're okay for now, though. We've also got a problem, though, with an imminent rebellion going to be happening somewhere in the Southern Spine of Sotek. It's going to be unfortunate because the garrison of the mine is still recovering, but the Thrice-Cursed Peak should be okay, and if it can last 2 more turns, we'll have actual fortifications there as well. So we'll have to just keep an eye on things, but otherwise, let's just skip forward a turn. Right, that's unfortunate. So I was just having a sip of tea during the Lord Master's turn, so I missed where Teclis has actually disappeared off to. I think he went off this way, towards the mortuary, but I'm going to have to wait and see, aren't I? We also got a slight issue where, right before the end of the end turn phase, we've got an army led by Scalpos here, deciding to attack the mine itself. What we're going to look like if we attack? Massively against us. Right. What do they actually have? They have Rat Ogres, okay. Night Runners, Clan Rats. I suppose we might have a chance if we end up having to defend the settlement against them, but I would personally, I prefer to actually deal with them properly with our army. But Scavenge Blow, thank you. Okay. The thing is, though, the Loremasters is going to be a much tougher opponent. I'd rather deal with them. So, yeah. Let's head over... Ah, here they are. Right, what do they have? So they've got their Frostheart Phoenix still. Bunch of Loth and Sea Guards, Spearmen. Okay, so apart from the high quality of their troops in terms of experience, they're still fairly low tier. The only ones they've got extra are this unit of Rangers and the Swordmaster, as well as the Fire Mage. Right. Okay, we'll just have to deal with that. Can't do much with the mortuary because we're still leveling it up, although if we go with the assumption that Teclis is going to attack it soon, and given it hasn't got defenses, it's going to be an easy target, right? So let's save us some money by stopping the construction of the Warrens. There we go. Yes, we did miss out, unfortunately, on the population surplus, but I think it'd be much better for us... Or did we? I can't remember. But it saved us some warpstone tokens we would have lost anyway. I mean, if we knew we were heading over here, I would have even taken the opportunity just to demolish the buildings. But at least we can have a bit of a defense by using the alarm tunnels. But yeah, Lord Skrolk can stay where he is for now. We just got 6,798. So let's take the opportunity now to actually start recruiting a new army. So, we are going to go to Lords. We're going to get our Warlords. And we've got two options for traits. We've got Determined, which, if I hover over, is going to give us some good bonuses to our infantry line, especially for the Hold the Line ability. Or we can go for Perceptive, which will give us the extra recruitment rank and some other bonuses. Out of the two, and given that we're using Skaven, and in a way, I feel this trait fits the character as described to me by the submitter much more, we are going to go for Determined. And, ooh, we actually completed the mission. Fantastic. Now, Staden here is going to have his name changed, and I've got the name written down because I knew I was going to have to recruit somebody at some point. So it's going to be called Burrowrats. Then, if we can fit it in here, I'm going to call it the Pax Templar. There we go. So this is a character submitted by Herald of Storm Vermin, and I'll put the character's backstory on screen right now. But I really like the backstory behind it. It's very fitting for the Skaven lore, given that it ties in quite nicely to the first great Skaven Civil War and the rise of Clan Pestilens as a great clan. I'll probably talk about it in the next end turn phase, in fact. But for now, though, Bubbarat is going to stay in Subaltern, and we're going to recruit some units. Now, even though he's a warlord, he's also related to Clan Septic, which is very closely linked a thrall of Pestilence. So it makes sense that we include a bunch of plague monks in his army. But given this is a high-level leader of Septic, I'm also going to include some Storm Vermin. We don't want to go too much, because look how expensive they are in terms of upkeep. But I think we can afford a couple of units. So, Storm Vermin, out of the two, I mean, the halberds obviously have the anti-large capability. In fact, if we click here, yeah, both, they've got armor piercing, armored, and anti-large, yes. But these guys have got better weapon strength, better stats overall. Yeah, I'm going to go for a unit of Storm Vermin. Nah, I'll tell you what, halberds actually fit my image of Storm Vermin much more, for some reason. So yeah, we're going to go for these. And bearing in mind, we'll also be able to use Plague Monks for the anti-armor capabilities. For anti-infantry. So let's recruit some of these. We'll recruit some more in the following turn. And also, if we get our hands now on heroes, I definitely want to get us a Plague Monk. Again, very fitting for the character. So, let's have a look. Out of the two, I think Cunning will be the better option. Increasing our melee attack and allowing us to increase our ambush chance. Slicing will definitely be joining. And we picked up some more warpstone. Cool. So you'll join up with the army next turn, and I would like to recruit another character, but we can't do it. Well, we can't afford any this turn, right? Maybe we can go for a chieftain, although what I like the idea of is, if you remember, over here in the Mine of the Bearded Skull, we were in the middle of constructing a hidden layer, which will give us the ability to recruit assassins. Now, I always liked assassins in terms of the characters, although I've never... I mean, what was it? Oh, I'll talk about it in a second. It was to do with Gotrek and Felix books. For the moment, though, Vitek, let's give you... oh no, you're the one with Skrolk, aren't you? Right, Plague could be useful. For the moment, let's give you warpstone tokens so we can increase the magic we can use in battle. It increases our miscast chance, but that's not going to matter too much. Boborat, I'm going to go for Root Marcher, and I'm going to go for Inspiring Presence. I feel, given his backstory, that's the most fitting option for him. So we'll go for that. And then Slice In. We're definitely going to go and increase the recruitments we can do, so get Vermintide and Pestilent Birth in a second. So let's just grab that. There we go. Fantastic. Right, so you're going to be doing that. We've still got some money coming in. You're going to deal with, hopefully, Teclis in the following turn. Right, but what should I say about first? Civil War? Once we have a look to see what's happening here. Oh. Interesting. So he's actually come to attack us at the crater. Ooh. Okay, we'll come back to that then. But, yeah, Gotrek and Felix. So, in the second book of the series, if you've never read them before, I highly recommend them. Classic, old-school Warhammer fantasy. But it's to do with Felix Jaeger and Gotrek Gunnarsson. Gotrek is a slayer that is actually, in a way, very bad at what he does, because he's trying to kill himself in glorious battle against the toughest monsters you can find, and he always fails to do so. Now, I quite like the fact that he appears later on out in Age of Sigmar, and if you haven't checked it out yet, listen, I should say, to Whelmslayer, the audio novel with by Games Workshop, because they've done things like had Brian Blessed, who also voiced his character in the game here in Warhammer, in Total War Warhammer. So check that out. But yeah, in the second book, it's called Skaven Slayer, and it was all to do with the different schemes that, what's his name, Thanquol was trying to do in order to capture Non. And they were always spoiled by Gotrek and Felix, who didn't even know there was this, arch nemesis trying to deal with them, but it was all these different attempts, like these ninja assassin rats that were trying to sneak into the tavern where Gotrek and Felix were and trying to attack them in their sleep and stuff. I absolutely loved a section in one of the later books, though, when Thanquol, who's by this point very old and twisted by his hatred for these two people, and he eventually encounters them in like an underwater submarine that the Skaven have created, and he's got them at his mercy, and all this time he's thinking that these are personal enemies, these are people that are targeting him specifically, and then he's shocked and outraged when Felix and Gotrek have no idea who he is. They just think he's some random Skaven, you know? That was really, really funny. But anyway, let's continue. Let's have a look and see what's happened here. So, they come to attack us. Now, bear in mind, we've got the full garrison of the crater and the army itself. And the game still only puts us at 50-50. Wow. I mean, don't get me wrong, the garrison is not going to provide a lot, but still, given what we've got at our disposal, you would have honestly thought. We do kind of want to deal with them quickly, sooner rather than later, you know? But I'll tell you what, let's leave it for the moment, I just want to do other stuff. Oh, Order the Dragon Lord have finished their ritual, and Hexotl has too. Okay, we finished that, so at least we get some bonuses to our armor. But no, actually, having the... If we look quick, we could have actually brought Bubba Rat up to join in the fights. I'm sure he can get it into reinforcement range of the Gwakmol crater. And having 2 extra Plague Monks could come in handy. You know what? Sure. Let's just do that. He hit... You know, despite the fact that we are under siege, obviously Skrolk was able to get a message or a spell out to Bubble Rat, summoning him to the crater to provide support against the pointy ears. So if we bring him here, he should be within reinforcement range. Might as well put things in our favour as much as we can, eh? And then if we do this, excuse me, thank you. I'm trying to click on everybody here, right. Wait a minute. Is that just me, or is it honestly saying that the balance bar has actually gone down a bit from that? How? You know what? Fine. I'm going to summon a bunch of these. Don't want to go too crazy, mind. I mean, we are 56, right. We'll drop it down to here, so we've got 5 uses of the menace below. As tempting as it would be to let them come and attack us, I'd rather deal with the situation now, where we can also bring all these enemies in, rather than just wait around for them to think, although...
Fight my brothers!
No, let's attack them now. Well, here we are, guys, down on the battlefield, as Lord Skrolk prepares to test the might of the Horned Rat against the High Lore Master himself, Teclis. Now, in order to make things a bit easier for just going over general strategy for today's battle, I will zoom out to the tactical map instead, something I rarely see in a lot of Total War Let's Plays, but I think it has its uses. But if we zoom down here to start things off, you can see my front line is generally consistent of plague monks, scattered across the centre with spearmen on either flanks. I've got my censer bearers in the back ready to charge forward when needed, plague claw catapults, and my characters here, nice and straightforward. Over on my left flank, in order to try and outflank the enemy position, we've got my unit of triads, as well as all my night runners with the slings, and their job was to run around behind the enemy and attack vulnerable characters, as well as the missile units like the archers, because high elf archers are deadly when they start firing. And likewise over here, a little bit further behind because these guys can't vanguard, but I've got my unit of rattling guns ready to attack from the flank, as well as my unit of aberrations. Now these guys turned out to be a bit of a pain, so I'm going to see about maybe getting rid of them in the future, but for now, that's what they're doing. Also coming in then is on this side here where the mouse is, you can see Bubba Rat is bringing in his plague monks, and on our left side then is the garrison from the crater. Now, with that explained, let's go back to the normal map, where you can see already the plague claw catapult is starting to do the first blows of the battle. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't see a lot of the enemy's army because of them being on the hill here, until they got a bit closer, but obviously my catapult was able to spot a unit of Sea Guard. Unfortunately, I had it on fire at will, otherwise I would have definitely had them targeting the Swordmasters. But one of those things. The enemy is starting to get a bit closer though, and what I'm liking in particular in this battle was the fact that if I actually head forward again, you can see the enemy is starting to clump up quite a bit around the place, making things very, very good for targeting area of effect spells, such as Plague, which we'll be seeing shortly. Now at this point now, the enemy is starting to shoot at their archers, and elven archers, like I said, are deadly, not just because of how skilled they are, but because of their range. So I forgot for a little while that they were firing, using to have more tougher infantry in the centre, but my plague monks are taking damage, and so I'm going to have to start moving them over eventually. Now, speaking of dealing some damage, if I slow things down again, right here you can see I actually summoned in a unit of clan rats using the menace below. Now the reason I did this was simply to do as much damage as I can using the plague spell that's currently being cast by Lord Skrolk. With all the enemies basically bunched up in this area, it means we're going to do a ton of damage with them. And you can already see the Horned One's favours. It's just causing disease and decay to the nearby elven units. Now, unfortunately, this battle in particular had things slowing down during the replay, so I am trying my best. Funny enough, it was actually better during the battle itself, but hey-ho, we'll make do. Now, over here, I just wanted to point this out. The Phoenix came in, and originally I thought he was going to come and attack my spears here. So I was happy to cast Bless with Filth in order to buff him up, but instead he swung around and started going after Vectic. But, as you can see though, I'm starting to move my entire army to attack the enemy position. So Scalpake is making his way over to defend Vectic, as well as the clan rats over here. All my plague rats are just charging forward now, ready to attack different enemies. Now this unit was a particular one, because they took a ton of damage from the enemy missile fire. Completely on me, my fault for having a bit of a brain fart and not recognising that they were taking as much damage as they were. So their target was to actually go after the Swordmasters here, and you'll see shortly that they suffer massively for doing so, and so I end up having to come up with other tactics to deal with it. Now before we unpause and go back to normal speed, this spell was something I wanted to point out. Because I was elsewhere on the battlefield at the time, moving different units into position like the Night Runners and that on the flank, I didn't actually see the spell fire off. And originally when I looked past the replay to begin things, I saw it did do a bit of damage to the enemy's units, which I thought was fantastic. But look what happens here. This burning skull is heading straight towards my plague monks, and we're going to lose a ton of them to this spell. The only way I even knew the spell fired off eventually, before seeing the replays, because you can see the burnt ground behind it, and I just thought maybe it had the fiery convocation spell that Teclis can cast, but no, this is just the fire mage that had joined with the army. But yeah, you can see the Plague Monks are just having a lot of damage, with quite a few of them dying from this burning skull. As you can see right here, the bodies just fall into the ground in an explosion of blood and fire. Really wasn't the best thing for me to have done. If I was paying more attention, I could have avoided that attack. But it's one of those things. It's one of those things. Now at this point though, you can see we're starting to engage enemies on all fronts. We're bringing in enemies units in to try and outflank the enemy, like the clan rats here. Skrolk had the opportunity to bring in some more Plague Monks, where I see this nice big clump of enemy Sea Guard, so I will be charging them up there in just a second. Over here in the back then, we had a development where my Triads, I originally sent them in to go after Teclis. Unfortunately though, they got pinned by the Sea Guard units back here, and so they're going to do a ton of damage, and Teclis probably realizes this. He ends up charging back to try and help out a bit, but we're just going to leave them to their own devices up there. At this point though, a lot of the battle is going very much in our favour. You can see we've already run the centre, even though we took a ton of casualties doing it. And over on our left flank, we're going to help out a bit more with yet another plague spell, just decimating the elven units all bunched up here, nice and tight together. Now on our right flank, just to bring in thing, you can see over here actually, thank you, game, that we actually lost the unit of Plague Monks completely. You can see them here running off with only a couple of people left. The Swordmasters just devastated them. You can see here 98 kills on their bar there. The only reason we managed to do a ton of damage to them before we sent in Scalpake was because I got the Rattling guns to start firing at them even though they were engaged with my Plague Monks. Because by that point, my Plague Monks were going to die. So I figured we might as well use them as a nice, well, pin the enemy in place, I should say. Not a nice thing, but it's very Skaven-esque to be shooting into melee with our ranged units. Now we head back over here then, you can see that we still got a thing with the Triads. We've holding Teclis in place and doing some damage to the Frost Half Phoenix that has obviously come in to try and defend the Loremaster. But these are large targets fighting Triads, not a good thing for them. Teclis does try to help out using the Flock of Doom here, but it's not going to be enough. And at this point of the battle, you can see, if we zoom out a bit, a lot of the enemy units are starting to retreat already. We've still got some hanging on in there. You can see my Rattling guns going after these archer units here, for example. The Phoenix is still trying its best to do some damage scattered around the place. And unfortunately, we had a bunch of units back here that I had too many units, and I was losing track of where I was needed to send them. But luckily though, we were able to focus on our main damage up here. So Teclis is still taking some damage. He's broken now, and it is at this point the enemy chain routes. All we need to do now is chase down as much of the enemy as possible in order to kill them off, saving us having to do it and fight another battle after this one. Now in particular, just to point out some highlights during the chase sequence at the end here, the enemy do get away with a couple of units, I will admit that. That's because they are just as fast as our troops, so doesn't really help. Now, one thing here with the Phoenix I spotted flying towards my Rattling guns, which were originally going to chase down an enemy unit, so I thought, you know what, we'll take the advantage here and just blast them. The Phoenix using it. But unfortunately, because of them having to turn around in order to get it back in their firing arc, and the fact they take a moment to actually warm up, ready to start firing their guns, unfortunately the Phoenix gets away. But we did achieve something. You may have saw in the pop-up just then, that this group here, with the Triads, was able to defeat Teclis, wounding him, and he's going to have to try and retreat off the battlefield somehow once the battle is over. For now though, it's just a case of chasing down enemy units as much as possible. I did try to help things out by summoning clan rats using the menace below, just to try and pin the enemy in place and make it so our units can catch up, but it's not as successful as I was hoping. But nevertheless, the battle is now over, victory is ours, and we have shown the might of the Horned Rat against the High Elves from the Loremaster's faction. So with that said, let's go back to the campaign map. So there we have it guys, a decisive victory, although a bit of a brain fart on my behalf during that battle led to the death of one of my Plague Monk units, but it's one of those things, it happens. Most importantly though, we were able to wipe out practically an entire enemy army, Only a couple units managed to escape our clutches, and we'll be able to chase them down in just a moment. Now, what to do with the survivors, I'm going to go ahead and just get that bit of replenishment back. Nice and easy. Let the game sort itself out. They're going to run away. Now, because it's not the enemy's turn yet, I don't believe they can actually recruit. Ooh. That would be handy. I don't think they can get a new general yet, can they? No, they can't. So, if we grab Skrolk's army, we'll march out, go and kill off the survivors. Goodbye. There we go. How much food do we get from this as well? Okay, not too much, but we'll go and enslave them this time. Get a bit of extra food. We picked up the pit fighters of Hell's Deep. Only the toughest specimens survived the lowest of Hell Pit's 9 circles, the freak-infested proving ground and the utter darkness below. Ooh, that would be nice. We also picked up Natty Bubbo's sharpshooters. Okay. Might have to check those out at some point. Last time I did actually attempt to play as a Skaven was way back, before they even included units like the Giselles and that, so that would be quite cool. But for Skrolk, let's start moving you back, I think, over towards the crater. Admittedly, I do want to get another unit of monks now to replace what we lost, but I don't know how, or should we just recruit one of these instead? I think we could do with some of these. Yeah, let's give the Rat Ogres a go for his army. As for you, Bubble Rats, while you're actually here, let's pop you in here, and let's see if there's any units we can give you. So we can go for the Giant Rats, not ideal. Could we? Yes, we can get some Rat Ogres. I think we'll get 2 units for you. Sure, why not? So you can have that. We've got 7,281. So we've got the opportunity now to actually go ahead and upgrade the mortuary, unless, yeah, we'll go and upgrade the mortuary now, properly. And 4,500 left. Nothing really here we want to upgrade. And over here we could upgrade the ports. It'll double our income from it, but again, it's not really that big a deal. I'd rather leave it for now. Okay, Slice Sin could have joined in the battle as well. Damn it. No matter. You can now go and join Bubble Rats. Like so. Right. Zalta, what can we build here? Okay, we can actually upgrade that. Well, that's okay, that's good to know. But for the moment, let's just go through all of this. So, Lord Skrolk, what do we want to give you? I still kind of like the idea of actually going for Lightning Strike with him. So let's go for Ancient Cunning again. Scalpake has become extremely good at the moment. I'll include your increase, I should say, your weapon strength. Vectic. Let's give you a River this time, just so we get that all done. Unfortunately, Bubba Rat didn't actually level up. That's unfortunate. No matter. But now I can actually talk about the Great Civil War among the Skaven. So, and this ties into what I was saying before about Thrall Clan Septic, which, if I remember right, is the Skaven clan that you start a war with when you start the campaign as Malekith up in the north. But the Civil War itself, from what I read, was quite interesting. It was actually the Civil War that led to Clan Pestilens being recognized as a great clan. And it was all to do with, basically, the Skaven creating tunnels to make their way to Lustria in the first place. And while they were there, they were facing, of course, the lizard men that were dealing with the incursions, as well as things like the diseases that were in the jungles and that. And eventually, they decided to accept and worship those same diseases. Damn it. Not gonna lie, with those extra Rat Ogres coming in, I think this is going to be an even tougher battle. I'm just going to do this, and we'll march in and kill them with Lord Skrolk then. Hey. But, oh, hang on. Chiquopo and gain Vermintide, loads and loads of that. Sure, let's kill burn. But yeah, basically the Skaven in Lustria then that end up succumbing to these diseases, and instead of fighting them, decided to worship them instead, led rise to Pestilence. Now, eventually the lizard men teamed together and drove the Skaven out. And I believe that was when the Cult of Sotek became a thing as well, although I could be wrong about that. But what ended up happening was that Pestilens made their way back to the Southlands, and then eventually sent in emissaries to Skavenblight, the Skaven capital, in order to try and be recognised. And the council at the time decided to kill the emissaries, and it led to a civil war between Clan Pestilens down in the Southlands and Skavenblight and the other clans up in the north. And this happened for about 3 or 4 centuries. Hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Skaven were killed, and it only eventually came to an end when there was a parley. And what I particularly like about the leader of Clan Pestilens at the time, that he managed to get the Skaven Council to reluctantly accept their position. He made his way to Skavenblight to do the parley talks, survived several assassinations on the way, and managed to convince them basically that they deserve a place on the council if they can defeat one of the current council members in a duel. And in order to prevent them from trying to just kill him off again, he basically opened up his robe and showed that he had one of the most deadliest poisons and diseases that Pestilens had available as a sort of dead man's switch. And the Skaven Council, scared about this disease going off right in their capital and the center of their empire, decided to let them have it. And it was just a really, really cool story to read about. But enough of me actually talking about that now. Let's get back to this. So we do have some more dwarves making their way over here, the other army led by Grim Burluxon. So we might want to go after you in a minute. I would like to let a bit more replenishment happen before we do. I mean, their army isn't really anything to worry about, and then we'll come down and deal with the mine eventually. But Babuat, let's bring you back to Subaltern, and then we can get our hands then on those actual storm vermin. Again, it's going to cut into our upkeep a bit, because we're only making 1,500 now. We've still got a bunch of units to put in his army, but I think we'll be okay for the moment. So we'll let that go. Let's grab some clan rats now with spears. Just do that for the moment. There we go. You can continue replenishing. Let's put you back in the capital just to help that out a bit. You're all good here. What over the altar? Yeah, we have upgraded the defenses now. We've got covert choke points. We've still got a number of turns to wait before we can actually upgrade it to tier 4, but that's okay. Thrice Cursed Peak. Let's go ahead and get the scrap heap, just because why not? And I think that will be everything. Is there any rituals we want to do, actually? We could go for 13th scheme. In fact, did we not need to do that for Lord Skrolk's quests? Yeah, the Pestilence scheme we need to do, right. Might as well get that done now then while we're here. There's only 1,000 and it gives me access to a Plague Priest hero. So let's go ahead and perform the ritual. And we can decide where we want to send our Plague Monk then afterwards. Okay, we just need to win the following battle with Lord Skrolk's army, the Liber Barbonicus. What do they have? Lots of zombies. That should be easy enough for us. Okay, Slice In. Did I not tell you to join up? Hang on. Oh no, Slice In is already there. That's the Plague Monk we summoned. Gotcha. Okay. So, we'll think about that. Where do we want to send you, though? I don't really want to waste him on the Dwarven settlements here, just because they are quite weak at this point. But we could use them, I guess. I'll tell you what, actually. We'll send you over, if we can, to the Great Turtle Isle. So this is the capital of the Order of Lawmasters, if we're going to have to fight them. And then I might as well drop off a plague in their capital, eh? And there, let's hit that. Okay then. So we managed to pick up Recruiter for Babarat. Fantastic. Looks like the dwarves are heading towards Zotol, so we'll go and start moving Skrolk's army over to there. And there's a Ritual of Awakening. Or do we just go and attack them right now? Given what they've got, I think we can still win this fight if we attack them. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that. They can't really retreat because they're in the underway, and let's see what actually happens when we attack. Oh yeah, definitely. Goodbye. We managed to get help from the garrison as well, which really helped us out, especially with access to stuff like Poison Ring, Globadiers, and now 172. What? Oh, and the Death Globes, 258 kills. Oh, that's fantastic. Right, let's go ahead and enslave the dwarves. Get a more big thing sacrifice. And the Armor of Destiny. Ooh, that'll be useful. And we picked up... Oh, wow. Grim Burluxon. Because we defeated him now, the entire army gets missile resistance. I didn't realize Grim Burluxon... I'm going to have to go back on the video. Was that the leader of the army, or was it a hero inside? I don't remember. Oh, he causes fear. That's okay, I think we caused terror with him anyway, but that's fine. Oh, we lost another unit. Wait, what? What did we lose? No. Was it a unit of Plague Monks? Oh, the aberrations, we lost those, right. That's okay. To be honest, I haven't been that impressed with them. So, tell you what, instead, do you want to go for some more Rat Ogres? Or we can go for another Catapult, that would be even better. It does mean waiting 2 turns though. Yeah, let's go for another Catapult. Catapult has proven to be really useful so far, so I wouldn't mind getting our hands on another one. And then, Bubble Rat, let's give you some more Clan Rats this time. I'll tell you what, we'll give you another unit of Plague Monks, so you have 3 in total. And then we'll start working on something else for you. You've already got, let's go for another unit of Clan Rat Spears. There we go, that'll do. Okay, Lord Skrolk, let's give you now. We need to give you 1 more point and then we can get Draft Master. So for the moment, let's go Looter for that bonus. Scalpake, let's give you a Fever. Oh, Feather. Vitek.
I will kill him soon.
I'll tell you what, I'm going to give you this time. No, we want... Okay, that was level 16. Let's continue with your magic. I think that would be the best thing. So let's go Pestilent Breath. Just get that nice and cheap. And then is there anything else we want to upgrade? At this particular moment, all we're really doing is just waiting on our settlements to upgrade so we can get more buildings. Is that worth it for 10? Not really. Defenses and others otherwise all good. And already places like the Feist Curse Peak are already a top tier. And so is the altar over here. I mean, I suppose we could just spend it for the sake of getting some extra cash. What does that give me? A little bit of extra income. I tell you what, we'll grab it for the extra food. Why not, eh? And what about this? We'll grab that as well. There we go, that's all my money spent. Okay. I think at this point, we can actually bring today's episode to an end. Next time, we'll go now and deal with the Mine of the Bearded Skulls, as well as the incursion we may face at the Feist Cursed Peak. We'll then finish off our war against the dwarves of the Zanaz-Bogial. So all we got to deal with now is those 2 settlements, with the 1 army that's being recruited at the moment at the Cavern of the Great Bats, if I remember the settlement right. But once we've dealt with them, we'll probably continue then over to the west in order to go after the Order of Lawmasters. Now that we've defeated Teclis and his army, which included those powerful starting units like the Swordmasters of Hoeth and that Frostheart Phoenix, it will be in our best interest to go and attack them while they're weak. And not only that, but on the way over there should be another ritual site that we'll be able to get in order to get more warpstone coming in. So that will be our target, I think, for at least the next episode, maybe even 2. Depending, of course, on what happens in the game itself. If we have another faction attacking us, we'll have to obviously deal with that the best we can. But that's my current plan. Now, I'm surprised that the Zanaz-Bogial here are still nearly as powerful as we are, despite the fact that we've defeated all their big armies, and they haven't really got anything left, short of this... Oh, hang on. Oh no, I tell a lie. It looks like they've got a full stack sitting there. Ah, right. Did not realise that. Well, what I'll do then, while I remember to do it, is send him down here. I'm not going to use his ability to spread plague. I'm just going to allow him to spy out what we're going to have to deal with. That tick is actually being growth. Okay, pop through those. And we'll bring the episode to an end here. So guys, thank you very much for watching today's episode. Hope you enjoyed, and you do join me next time, of course, for some more Warhammer. But until then, everybody, take care, stay safe, and goodbye for now.